This is the first attempt by Samson to try to bring together what I call mining intelligence within our own system. So we're trying to develop a model that we can start to sell as a package on an international basis. So we're going to have a number of themes with speakers 5 and 8, and we'll buy and sell a whole package. We're trying to make us being SAMHSA and Northern Ontario, the center of mining intelligence. And you have to keep promoting that. So we're going to, this is a trial. You'll see people coming and going all morning. People at lunchtime are coming in from the booths to listen to the 3 speeches. And the speakers are well prepared. They've been very generous. Very generous with their time. We will be video recording the entire operation. I hope that we will get some edits later on. And I'm going to try to make sure we get the PowerPoint presentations. Right? Okay, we'll get the PowerPoint presentations, and I'll send them out to those people who are registered for the event. So they'll have them as backup. So just remember that as your speaker. First speaker is Emile Malvoso, Cambrian Innovates. He's a manager. He's going to address for you how the community college is moving forward and helping you fund projects. There are a number of dollars available to them that you probably didn't want to have or don't have access. And I'm not getting, oh, there we go. So, Emile, don't take your time away, so if you will come up.
All right, thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to you today. As you know, Dick is probably the most persuasive individual in Sudbury. So this is my attempt at trying to provide you a little bit of background on college innovation related to the mining industry. The first slide, and this is what I wanted to, is the premise for all of what the colleges have been pushed to do. It's kind of a bleak picture, to be very honest with you. So Canada is ranked 13th in the world with regards to innovation. And as I said, the colleges were forced to put in the accessibility for more innovation with regards to the research and development. You got to keep in mind, we're a G7 country, and we're ranked in innovation for 13th. So what does that mean? Really what that means is we're a resource-based economy, and little increments that we do within that development. So today, we're sitting in probably one of the largest mining camps in the world, and we're talking about that same thing. And it seems to be this reoccurring concept over and over again. How do we inspire new development and new growth and things like that? So what the colleges have done over the last 5 years is provided an opportunity for businesses to invest in their new workforce. So in your development as a business, you have a choice. You have 2 choices. You either grow by innovation or you grow by acquisition. It's 2 basic structures. So what I'm going to be talking about today is growth through the innovation. And innovation is based upon not developing for today as much as developing for the future. And that future can only be done, or typically be done, by the youth. I'll give you a few typical examples. So the word innovation is the key point. How does that come to fruition? What do we create and how do we measure this innovation? In simple terms, innovation is only created by if someone's buying and selling it. And outside of that, it has no value to the marketplaces. So when we find a lot of the times, and what the governments have structured is, we've got great people, we've got great ideas, but it doesn't convert into an economic development structure. And so what we're trying to do in the college system is create economic drivers or pushes that would allow for those businesses interested in innovation, that they can use the new young workforce to push forward their product or service development. What we get a lot of is the criticism of the new students. or that new young, the new youth, they're lazy, they're unmotivated, they don't want to do anything based upon the structures that it is. And I'm telling you, it's a fallacy. They have more than what we ever had, or what I ever had, in the development of their educational platform. And so the thing is that they don't want the 8:30 to 4:30 jobs. They're not interested. What they're wanting is, they want constant contact and the information at real time. And that part of it is not what we typically, in my age group, are accustomed to. So this goes to the question of learning versus education. So there's a difference between education and how a person learns. And so, and the quote that I use a lot from a gentleman by the name of John Godfrey is, and I have to read it, and it says, the goal of education is to make people privately happy and publicly useful. Okay? It's a huge, I love this quote because it does talk to, it gives you the individual the confidence to support their development, but at the same time that they are able to go into the workforce with a useful point. So at the end of the day, what our job is to do is to educate the student, not to make them fail, but to make sure that they have the tools in which they can go into the workforce. In research and development, it's the opposite. It's about trial and error. And it's about essentially failure. Because without that failure, you can't progress further. There's very few, if not any, companies that we've dealt with over the past 10 years that have not got it right the first time. It doesn't exist. I haven't seen it. It's very few that see it in their development. So at the end, with regards to this, it is really that focus on that learning piece. The businesses and the students or the potential new workforce is learning through it, not being educated by it. And that's what the applied research does. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples of students and youth. And I'm going to, hopefully you can find this kind of fun. Back in the day, we used to put up our hand. But we don't have that anymore. We have students that actually text their professor in the classroom. Okay? We have students that interact with the professors, not through email, because email is so outdated. It's through Facebook. So think about it from our perspective, because we have challenges, right? As a college, you have challenges. And these challenges are that we have to be relevant to a new generation every year. And they come with very different developments in their development than we would have had as faculty members, as administrators, and alike. So they're not looking to develop in a classroom setting. What they're looking to do is they're looking to say, I want to read it all at home, and I want to practice it at school. It's a big difference in mentality. The other part of it is, this 8:30 to 4:30 doesn't exist anymore. I have access to my professor or my faculty member almost 24 hours a day. So the availability of these faculty members is now at a maximum point. So that mindset and that creation of innovation culture within your own organizations is not static to what would happen maybe 10 or 20, maybe 30 years ago. It actually is to the now and to the future. These are the students and the young that are going to be able to push the envelopes to get you to a place where you probably didn't even know existed. So the best example that I can give you is a company called Folded. And Folded was a development between a research facility and a business. And what they were trying to do is they were trying to create protein linkages and structures that they could actually isolate specific patterns that would provide, I'm going to call it innovation with regards to food development and other things like chemical development. So what they did, and they've been working on this for 13 years, trying to get their researchers to develop this, they gamified the actual protein structures. And in 3 months, 57,000 people did what they did in 13 years. Same idea. So the gamification is really the point of the mindset, because as you know, if you talk to me today, a significant portion of the time is used to game. Again, so using that same concepts of gaming now influences the ability for you to spawn your development as a product or service within the mining industry or any other industry. So there's many examples of this type of structure. So the structure then becomes more of the question, not the individual. And that's where we're really focusing our efforts on, is creating environments in which the free flow of activities through multidisciplinary teams can actually interact together and provide solutions. One of the common problems that we have in the mining industry is interfaces. How does somebody interface with a machine or a process or what have you? The funny part of it is the gamification of that, or the animation of that process, is way more important for that new user to come in as opposed to a static page. So creating the structures, the game structures, now become stronger and faster and more complex. So it's not about hiring a computer programmer, it's actually hiring a gamer. And that's the difference. And you can see that there is a lot of differences in the structures of how that business is going to interact. So this goes to the question of what's an innovative company? Well, all the businesses that we've interacted with is, they've always talked about this. We're focused on producing our products now, creating efficiencies within their production processes, and focus specifically on creating margins and getting to their client as quickly as possible. What we're looking for as an innovation company is that they're not looking for the now, but they're looking for the future. And that looking through the future is really about taking risks. So what does risks mean? Obviously time. Because you don't have the time. You're trying to provide productivity within your processes. You're trying to provide utilization in your processes. And those people are focused specifically on that component of your business. The other part of it is that focus outside in the development now creates a different mindset. That mindset is focused on that future piece. Still taking what you're doing into the existing production cycles, but what you're doing is you're focusing on the future. So our definition of that innovation component is this outside set of the business, that the challenges that you identify as a business, that we can work with and develop further into the future. So it really comes to the last piece of my presentation today, is the access to applied research. So what the government has realized, specifically in the federal government, is the investment in the last 10 years into colleges, 176 colleges throughout Canada, has shown significant impacts in innovation within the companies. Because what's happening is a company that would be typically mechanical would never have gone into an electrical field or electrical type of development in their product or services. What the colleges do is they offer that augmentation, that offset to what their core business is, and to create synergies between what they're existing doing and what they could do into the future. And so what we're having is that you can imagine if you walk into a college right now, you have 80 plus programs that would support the development in so many different ways, from graphic designers to RNs to mining engineering technologists to electrical instrumentation. There is so many opportunities. So these colleges are really essentially a microcosm of the existing economy that resides in a specific region. And that, in that aspect, is what we're actually selling. And what we're selling is that opportunity with very little investment, that you would have the resources the people and the expertise to support your development. So now you've come up to the question is, well, what is it in for the college? There's a couple of things. One, what's not in for the college is intellectual property. We have no requirement, out of all 176 colleges across Canada, have no requirement for intellectual property. So that means you come up with a problem, you provide a solution to the problem, you take it away, it is yours, you share no royalty, you share nothing with regards to that. You walk away, we hope you make a ton of money. Second of all, those individuals that have worked in that setting are the best people for you to hire. Think about it in a very, very simple term. We have provided you the problem solvers to your problem. They are the best individuals to recognize how your company works, that you have tested them in a situation where they're continuously solving those problems, and they can be easily accessible. So what's in it for us? That you hire our guys. Endpoints on that, specifically that. Because our objective as a college is to create, is to develop that new workforce. So our focus is that in itself. The other part of it is our faculty. And we focus specifically because our faculty is really our product as a college. And this is more my perspective. So as our faculty expertise increases with more exposure to the businesses that you run, the better they become in the educational development of their own program. We've seen it in time and time again, that now they're pushing their limits because they actually go into the world. I hate to say it's the real world because there's no difference, but the world and the economic environment that they are actually seeing development, and they can actually bring it back into the program so that it makes it better. So that's where that cycle comes back. And so you can see, without disclosing any, that's the other piece, is the disclosure of the individuals of that problem. Because we're not trying to say what's the secret sauce for your product. What we're trying to do is we're trying to push our levels. So, with regards to Cambrian College, this is one of the best kept secrets in probably, I would say, Northern Ontario, is we're ranked 36 out of 172 in research. We generate $1.6 million annually for research for businesses, either with you or against you. So what we're looking for is those partners, those businesses that are looking to innovate, willing to take a chance, not only on their product and their service, but willing to take a chance on their new innovation and support of their new workforce. At the end of the day, that's what we're here to do, is to create and support your organizations, because without those businesses that surround us, we don't exist. So that's it for me today. I really do appreciate the time. I do have to acknowledge our funding agencies. We do receive support from FedNor, N.A.M.E, OCE. There's a number of us sure answer. So what we like to say with regards to our funding agencies is that in every single solitary case, they understand what we're doing, they understand the development of what we're doing, and we can't do this without their funding. So I thank you very much for your time, and I do appreciate the opportunity.
5 minutes for questions or comments or interpretations, or anything you need.
Go ahead, Bert.
Good presentation, Emile.
Thanks.
I think really looking at it from the college perspective, taking an idea, developing how the college interacts with it is very good. One piece that was missing, I think, in the innovation process, and coming from our experience, is really about idea, research, development, and commercialization. And looking at it from the college perspective, what areas can the college provide to look at commercialization? Here's what. So innovation is also commercialization. Absolutely. On that. The challenges you talked about, culture, younger generation, how they interact in organizations to generate innovation, that's great. All of a sudden, it's time to commercialize. Now you need to interact with business, you need to interact with the mining industry, which is very traditional, very structured. So all of a sudden you have conflicts, potential conflicts. So what can the college do in its programs to try to overcome some of those barriers that are presented to that entire innovation process?
Can you just summarize the question?
Sure. So and it's a great question, but Kirk, it really is focused on, there's a portion in which the colleges do a lot of the research and development. And what we find, and admittedly, what we find is that our partners then say, how do we go and sell it? Because as I said this earlier part of the presentation, it really is about the commercialization. If you cannot commercialize, it's a great idea, but you have made no money on it. You've spent money on it, but you've not made any money. So what we've done is we've done a lot of what we call the soft services. And really what this is focused on is the toolkits associated with selling a product or service. So what we have is, we have the business faculty, we have graphic designers, we have those types of individuals that will give you web presence, give you the toolkit in which to support the development of the commercialization. What we can't do, and there is limitations to this, is we cannot give you that sales force to go and sell to that traditional mining company. And so where we would have to stop is that piece. The great thing about what we've done, and we've made some good increments, is the validation point by the end users. And so what we're finding is with Glencore and Vale and Goldcorp and a number of different mining companies, is that they've come in, they've started to look at what we're doing, and they're saying, yay, it's got potential, we should talk about it, let's get through the procurement processes, understanding that they're a vendor now, and things like that. So that support, but it's very light. But the validation point is more important than anything else. There is an interest at the best of it. So it will give you some penetration, but it won't give you that full penetration of the sales force you have.
Question? We still have time?
Oh, yes, please.
I was curious if you could give us a brief summary of how that 13th ranking internationally was established, and whether you agree with it.
That's a great question. The question was, do I agree with the innovation quotient? So I look at the list, and you got to remember, innovation, the measure for innovation, specifically in the Conference Board of Canada, was based upon the idea to commercialization. That's the concept of how they developed that piece. How many ideas, how many patents, how many concepts were pushed into the marketplace. The US, Switzerland, the top three, they have those economies that are open more to that commercialization piece. That's probably the better way of saying it. Do I agree with the 13th ranking? I think we have a lot of influence, but I'll go back to Kirk's point. What I found a lot of is we've got great people, great ideas, but where we struggle is that the ability to sell. And that selling point is it should be a very strong profession into itself. That is something that we can do a lot better in. I think both on the educational side and even on the corporate side is to really focus on a big B to big B type of sales, because we can sell retail, we can sell wholesale, but what we to other retail operations. We can do that relatively easy, we can train for that. But that B2B type of interaction is very new to a lot of people. And so I've had the pleasure of working for a multinational. A lot of the training that I was subjected to in the mining industry was not to think of it as an individual anymore, as to think of it as a corporation, and understanding how that organizational structure goes and runs and makes decisions. And having the educational background around sales and things like that didn't, it was very new to me. And so that, in that point, I would say that's where we need to do a lot more improvement. So I don't disagree with the ranking. Actually, I think it is probably as close as what we are. We are an oil and gas, a forestry, a mining sector type of economy. There is innovation in there, don't get me wrong, but it's not to the point of manufacturing.